All right. So today what I want to do is I want to take it one step further from our last equation that we had yesterday, and I want to graph the conic given it to us in the other form, in the non-standard form, if you will. Okay? So if I say, let's graph said conic in non-standard form, okay, the first thing that we would have to do is we would have to determine what kind of a conic it is. Okay? So that's the first question I pose to you today. What kind of a conic is this? Barry, why would you think that it is an ellipse? Should be 3 reasons why. Okay, that's reason number 2, because there's an addition sign between them. Between what? So there's 2 squared terms. That would be reason number 1. Plus between them, and not the same coefficients. Yep. Okay, is that what you were going to say, Sam? Yep, exactly. Okay. So the first thing we look for is number of squared terms. Because if there's 2, that eliminates parabolas. Okay? If there's only 1, that makes it be a parabola. So that's the first thing we look for. Second thing we look for is plus or minus between the squared terms. If it's minus, that makes it be a hyperbola. If it's plus, makes it be circle or an ellipse. And then the third level is we look for the coefficients. If they're the same, it's a circle. If they're different, like in this case, it's an ellipse. Okay? So this is an ellipse. Which means we need to put it in x minus h quantity squared over a squared plus y minus k quantity squared over b squared equals 1 form. And then from that, because it's an ellipse, we can find the center, we can find the vertices, we can find the foci, and now in this one, we can graph it. Okay? Alright? So, first thing that we need to do then is we need to group our x's and our y's. So this is going to be 4x squared minus 48x plus something plus y squared minus 14y plus something equals negative 189. Yeah. Then we said we've got to factor out of 4 because we want coefficients on our squared terms to be 1 in order to do these wonderful, quick and easy completing the square steps. Then we said, okay, so now let's look at the blue value, and the b value there is negative 12. And that negative sign is important. I take that number and I divide it by 2. I take that number and I square it. So this whole gets filled with 36, but that's inside a set of parentheses that's being controlled by 4, so really I'm adding 144 to that side. So to keep it in balance, I'm going to have to add 144 to the other side. The nice thing is then that this side factors to be x minus 6 quantity squared, and then times with a 4 in front. Okay. Then I go to the green, and I say my green b is negative 14. I divide that by 2, and I get negative 7. I square that, and I get 49. So this gap gets filled with 49, not in a set of parentheses, so I straight up just add 49 to the other side. That then simplifies to be y minus 7 quantity squared. And my right side, if I add all those numbers together, I get 4. So we're one step closer to being in the form that we want it to be in. So to finish it off, I've got to get it equal to 1. So I'm going to divide every term here by 4. And that gives me quantity x minus 6 squared divided by 1 plus quantity y minus 7 squared divided by 4 equals 1. And that now is my equation of my ellipse. And from that, now I can graph it. Okay? So where is the center of this ellipse? 6, 7. 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, 7 puts my center right there. Okay? Left and right from my center, I go left and right from my center, I go 1. Up and down from my center, I go 2. So it's a little teeny tiny thing up there. That gives me vertices at 6, 5 and 6, 9. Foci are going to be vertical. So it's going to be 6, 7 plus or minus something. And that something is, I take a squared minus b squared, which is negative 3. I take the absolute value of that, so that gives me positive 3. So c is the square root of 3. So my foci are at 6, 7 plus or minus the square root of 3. Questions on that one? Should look relatively familiar to you if you were in class yesterday. It was the example we did yesterday in class. Okay. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to do that exact same thing on this. I would like you to graph this conic. Okay? Follow the completing the steps to graphing this particular conic.
I was looking at the wrong one.
Okay, that's why.
I have to screencast on for yesterday.
So, we've got x squared. Oops, tap the brakes. Before I even do this, we got to figure out what it is first, right? What is it? Why is it a circle? Coefficients are the same, there's an addition sign, and there's 2 squared terms, right? Okay? So there's 2 squared terms that has an addition sign in between them with coefficients the same. That makes it be a circle. So that makes it be x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. Right? Okay, so let's group our x's. And at the same time, let's move that 8 over to the other side. Yes? Okay. Look, blue first. So blue B value is positive 16. Divide that by 2 is 8. Square it is 64. So this gap gets filled with 64, and I add 64 to that side. This then factors to be x plus 8 quantity squared. Then we look green. B value is negative 10. Divided by 2 is negative 5. Square it is 25. So I fill this gap with 25, and I have to add 25 to the other side. This then becomes y minus 5 quantity squared, and that's going to equal 100. 75, yep, 100. Okay? All right. That's now in my form, so that is the equation now that I am going to be graphing. X plus 8 quantity squared plus y minus 5 quantity squared equals 100. Based off of that, it's a circle. I need my center and I need my radius. Where is my center? Negative 8 comma 5. What is my radius? 10. Two, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 5 puts me right there. And eight, so I got to go out to there. Okay, we move these then, so that those can still be seen. There we go. Yes? Love it. Okay, questions on that one? All right, one more. Graph that one. So what shape is this? It's a parabola. More importantly, what kind of a parabola is it? Okay, four choices. Left? Well, how do we know it's left and not up or down? Or left and right, I should say. Because y is being squared. So this is definitely a y minus k quantity squared equals plus or minus 4p times x minus h1. Because the y is being squared. Okay, so we definitely know it opens left or right. We don't know, we haven't solved it all the way through yet to figure out if it's left or if it's right. Okay? So with that being said then, I would group my y squareds, or my y's I should say, on one side. And then on the other side, I would add 20x because that gets it closer to the form that I need it in. p-value is negative 10. Divided by 2 is negative 5. Squared is 25. Y minus 5 quantity squared equals 20x plus 40. Do I have it in the form that I want it yet? Why not? Go ahead.
You need your, I don't know what you call this.
Need my 4p value out in front, right? Yeah. Okay. So what do I need to factor out on the right side? 20, right?
Yeah.
20 is the only thing I can factor on the right side. So if I factor out a 20, I get y minus 5 quantity squared equals 20 times x plus 2. And now that's in the form of my parabola. Which way does it open now?
To the right.
To the right, because my p-value is positive. Okay? Or my 4p value is positive, I should say. Okay? So based off of this parabolic equation, where is my vertex? Negative 2 comma 5? Yep. Oops. Two, 4, and 5. So there's my vertex there. Focus. How far away is my focus? 5, because P is 5. And so since the focus is 5 to the right, because it opens right, that puts my focus right there, which is at 3, comma 5. 5 to the left then would be my directrix. 2, 4, 5. So that is the equation x equals negative 7. My axis of symmetry would be y equals 5. And my width would be 20, which means I need to go 10 up and 10 down. 4, 6, 8, and 10. Scientific measuring going on there. Hit the bottom of the screen, that's why it flattened out. And there it is. With all the stuff that we would need to give along with it. Questions? Okay. 4 graphs tonight. Straight out of your textbook.